Let's start this episode with a dream scenario. So imagine if there were help desk issues that were resolved instantly, reducing time to resolution and keeping employees productive without human intervention. This is the reality that is delivered today with Aisera. And today we're going to be unpacking what makes Aisera such a powerful addition to Automation Anywhere and how together they unlock the true autonomous service operations vision. Welcome to Agentic Edge, where we explore the frontier of AI agents, enterprise orchestration, and the architectures that are shaping tomorrow's intelligent enterprises. I'm here today live at Automation Anywhere offices with my co-host, Kate Ressler. She leads our community and marketing efforts, as well as technical content strategy here at Automation Anywhere, including this podcast. And our guest today is Rahul Guha. He's the Vice President of IT Service Management and Employee Experience Solutions here at Automation Anywhere. Rahul, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Really happy to be here.
We're super excited to have you here. We recently announced just a couple months ago that Automation Anywhere acquired Aisera. You guys are a leader in agentic AI solutions for IT service management and employee experience. So tell us, what does Aisera actually do?
That's a great question, Kate. So what Aisera has been recognized in the industry for is how to enable what we call a zero service desk. That's a term being thrown around a bit, I think too much nowadays, but what it essentially means is all the employees in the organization, if they have any issue with their IT or HR or finance, procurement, shouldn't have to pick up the phone or send an email or go to a portal or go to numerous portals and figure it out for themselves. They have an AI agent that's going to answer their questions, take actions on their behalf, as well as escalate when only needed. And we are seeing more than 80% of what we traditionally call service requests and incidents getting resolved right at the time when they're created by the end user without any human intervention. That's a huge lift from where we are with the traditional service desk. So what Aisera brought to the market was this concept of auto resolution, and that's where you have been recognized by Gartner as a leader in that space.
So before we dig into more of that, because I have a lot of questions and I think you answered some interesting things that I hadn't even thought of at the beginning here, but I want you to define an AI agent for us, because I've asked this of every guest we've had so far. It seems that every organization and every platform has their agent play. How do you define an AI agent?
That's an excellent question, Micah. So for us, an AI agent is simply an autonomous entity that has been given some level of instructions. And these instructions can be in the form of a standard operating procedure that exists in the IT department, right? Of how to go about troubleshooting a computer. So it's given a little bit of instructions, but it's given also a set of guardrails.
Okay.
That it should not be answering questions outside of this or not take actions that it's not supposed to. So the guardrail piece is really important, and it's given some context about the enterprise, context about the domain that comes through either fine-tuning the AI model just to be a little bit more technical, or by doing something called knowledge graph.
Okay.
So once that is available, the AI agent can essentially take the actions just like a very well-informed employee would have. So to us, an AI agent essentially is a very good proxy for an excellent employee in your organization who manning the help desk.
I like that. I think two things you mentioned there is both the context and the knowledge, but also the action, right?
Absolutely.
Those two things can't exist without each other for really effective solution.
Yeah.
I think a lot of organizations are defining agents as just the action part or just the knowledge work, like answering a question and then that's it, but not actually taking any action. It sounds like Aisera sees this differently, and this is a very different vision for what you've been delivering for customers.
Absolutely. So I'll just give you a simple example. We all need software when we work, right? I just got some agreements, some contracts sent to me, but I couldn't open it because I didn't have that particular DocuSign-like system. So, it's not just important that the AI agent knows who I am and goes ahead and orchestrates it in the back end and approves a license and procures the software for me, and I start using it. What a good help desk person would have done is say that, hey, you know what? The first thing you do here is you go and register with your, information. So that comes from the knowledge article. That comes from, the manuals associated with that particular. So in our view, an AI agent is actually crossing that last mile as well, making the experience better, and that's where the employee experience comes in. So mine that knowledge from the usage, from the knowledge articles, from the user manuals, and present it back to the user, saying that, hey, this is how you're going to use it. So in our world, an AI agent is not just taking an action or not just answering a question, it is doing whatever is necessary to make the user feel more productive.
I imagine that's like extremely powerful in an employee's first week at a job when they're onboarding everything. That's usually when so many things go awry. And I think an agent would be really powerful then.
Absolutely. Onboarding is our number one use case, actually.
Oh.
That you mentioned.
Okay.
So the AI agent exists to do this kind of work, but the AI agent is not the entire solution, right? There's stuff that comes with it. There's the orchestration. There are multi-agent scenarios. Talk to me about that. Like, how does this get bigger beyond just the agent definition that we were talking about?
Yeah, and onboarding is a great example, right? I mean, onboarding starts on the HR side of the house. Nothing to do with IT. Somebody says that, okay, this person will show up in the office on this and this date, right? So the W-9s, the W-4s, I-9s, and all these things have to be done on the HR side. But once that is done, that's when the IT team gets involved. I have to procure a laptop, I have to provision this user's role, and so on and so forth. Then facilities get involved, right? So there's a lot of orchestration that happens behind the scene for even a simple use case like onboarding. So it is a combination of the AI agents working together with whatever backend and mid-office automation already takes place, right? The AI agent brings all of that together and makes the user experience very seamless. So our goal is to combine the front office experience with the mid office and back office automation that is in forward-looking organizations that already exist.
Can you walk us through what Aisera's platform actually does?
Yeah, so Aisera's platform has three main components. The big piece of it is that when Aisera is deployed in an organization, it needs to build what's called a context graph of the organization. It needs to know who the people are, what their roles are in terms of their actions, so on and so forth. So what we do is we build an organizational ontology by ingesting data from the knowledge articles, from the previously resolved, for previously created tickets, so on and so forth. So with that in place, the next thing that happens is we almost immediately enable a conversational interface for people to interact with based on everything that Aisera knows about the organization and the context graph. So that's one piece of it. Then we build on it by bringing the orchestrations and the automations that already exist in the enterprise, saying that, hey, how can I let the AI agent get access to all this? So that's where we start integrating the APIs, integrating the, in some cases, RPA exists, integrating with third-party agents that might exist, right? So we are not the be-all and end-all for agentic AI. There are other companies that are building agents specific for their own purpose, right? But somebody needs to orchestrate that, right? So that's what we bring together. So first is the context graph. The second is the orchestration, the front office orchestration by bringing together all these pieces. And the third piece, very important, is the feedback learning. You want this AI agent to always be learning, right? And the way it works is that if it doesn't know the answer to a question, or if it doesn't know that how to reset a password for a very complex system, and it goes to an actual human agent, and this person does it successfully, the AI should learn from that. So we also build this virtuous cycle, this positive feedback loop that makes the AI agent smarter and smarter over time. So those three things essentially constitute the platform, and that's how we make the front office automated.
It's a great explanation.
Yeah, I like that. So it's almost like when it is implemented the first time, you might get X% automated responses of ticket handling, but it continues to evolve from there.
Absolutely. Micah, that's the core piece that we do not believe in a static system. An AI agentic system has to be an evolving system, a learning system, a feedback-based system. That's the core principle.
Talk to me about some of the really interesting outcomes that you've seen, because I'm sure you've deployed this someplace and someone says, hey, it's getting, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but let's say 50% of the tickets resolved automatically, but we want more out of it, right?
Yeah.
How have you seen some of these solutions evolve? What kind of improvements have you seen over time as people have continued to use it?
Yeah, let me give you some examples. So we work very closely with this company called VF Corporation. It's a holding company of retail brands like North Face, Timberland, Vans. It's a very forward-looking, like outdoor lifestyle-oriented brand holding company. So they're struggling with their resolution rates being stuck at around 35% or so when an employee asks a question. And they were looking for, hey, what's out there that can help us cross that 50% mark and continue to get better over time. So when we started working with VF Corporation, we quickly understood that the issue is all the different sources of knowledge repositories that they have in the system because they grew through acquisitions, right? So they were acquiring one brand after the other. And it's a huge ask to have everybody work on the same knowledge management system, the same ID system. So it essentially boils down to how quickly can I bring all of this together and make AI operate on all of this knowledge that exists in the silos. And that's exactly what we did at Aisera, right? So we quickly understood the ecosystem. We quickly brought together the AI platform, which integrates into their existing knowledge repositories. And we have been able to get the resolution rate up from 30% to close to 60%, and then we continue to do better, and now it's close to 80%. So that's one example. The other example that I can cite is we use them all the time, which is when we go to a cafeteria in an organization or go to a national park, all the vending machines and the ticketing machines that you see are all provided by this company. They are not traditional desk workers. These are all field service workers. They don't even have computers. They have kiosks. So how do you incorporate a person who is not really very conversant with and different languages, right? They all speak different languages. So it was a big challenge. There was a challenge about translation, is challenge about connectivity, is challenge about how do you, cache some of this information. And we were able to cross all those barriers and give a very good experience. And now they have been expanding to beyond IT, other domains as well.
That's awesome. When you initially described this, I think I initially started to think of IT service desk, HR, because everyone has questions about benefits and things like that. Have you seen this enabled for help desks that are customer facing? Or engineer facing? I guess engineer facing would be another good one, right? Like someone's out in the field and they're trying to get resolution on some kind of ticket.
Absolutely, and it is being used even by vendors.
Okay.
Right, so when the vendors are saying that, hey, you know what, is this particular thing running low? They don't have to go into a complex vendor management system and figure out and call people, right? They can just ask it conversationally and get the answer. They enable their IT team to build on top of Aisera. And now they are bringing up agents by themselves, which is really great to see. And all these use cases that we didn't think of, they're building it themselves.
How does that, from a product perspective, help to reinform what you do with the next implementation of Aisera?
So what we have initiated, and I hope to continue that as being part of Automation Anywhere as well, is this thing called a customer advisory board. So every quarter we would have 20 or 30 customer representatives come in and show us how they're using it. And we let a conversation flow between these customers themselves, and we would just be listening to them. And that gives us a lot of ideas, inform our roadmap. We essentially also sign up what we call lighthouse partners during that interaction, and that's how we have been successful so far.
I love that. Community feedback, customer feedback is
absolutely,
it's the light bulb moments that you get.
Absolutely.
Okay, Rahul, there is a ton of noise in the market around AI agents. So tell us today, what sets Aisera apart from everyone else?
Thank you for asking that question. So there is a lot of noise. There's a lot of definitions of agentic AI going around. What sets Aisera apart are primarily the following, right? One is that we started off with a very strong vision of how service desk of the future looks like. So we did not start off as creating technology for technology's sake. We were very focused on use cases to begin with. And that shows up in the product because we are actually solving real business problems. We are not doing POCs. Of course, we can start off by doing a POC, but the outcome-driven approach has helped us a lot. And we think that the only way a customer can be successful is to tie actual business outcomes and metrics to their agentic AI journey. On the technology side, we took a decision even before agentic AI became all the rage, is how do I make AI very domain specific as well as enterprise specific? That's where we stumbled upon this idea of a context graph that today is called context graph. We used to call it ontology, but essentially the understanding the vocabulary of the organization. So what we do really well is to understand how people talk about the applications and what are the main issues that they talk about very early on. And we take a very strategic point of view. We say that, hey, this is not a platform that you go and build yourself. So we say that, hey, I looked at all your tickets. Most of your people are actually having some issues with their Outlook connection and they're not able to get on their VPN and do their job. So you should think of actually going ahead and having AI take a go at it and fix 80% of your issues. So we have a very strategic way of leading the customer where they see value in the very early days. And that has been very successful for us. So we don't want to be a generic AI agentic platform. We want to stay inside of the whole thing of how do I help end users, be it employees or customers, but also bring together the entire knowledge graph so that we can do it effectively.
I like that you're talking about service desk, not specific to IT or to HR or to customers, because it enables, there's actually a lot of service desks that exists within an organization. You really just don't think about it.
That's right.
Because there's lots of different teams that have some kind of queuing system if you need help or you need to have an engineer come take a look at something. So I really like that differentiation. I think another thing that stands out to me when you talk about these knowledge graphs is every time we've joined a new organization, there is a massive array of acronyms that are like theirs and you don't know them and you've got to look this stuff up. And I think what you're saying by kind of ingesting this ontology and setting this up in the first place is that the agents are able to understand a lot of that company-specific vernacular, the way that we refer to that app or what we call it, even if it's not specifically named like that in the software listing. Those kind of translations become really important to creating an effective experience. Have you seen that come up frequently? I mean, is that something that's really a differentiator here?
All the time. I think the biggest distinction of a successful AI deployment and a not so successful AI deployment is that AI's ability to understand the organization context, that vocabulary. And that shows up all the time because sometimes somebody would say that, hey, you know what, my Phoenix application is not working. Guess what Phoenix means in that context? It's not the Phoenix, but it is actually an application that does inventory management.
Yeah.
So they're not saying that, hey, my inventory management application is not working and I'm seeing error so and so. They just say that my Phoenix app is not working.
Yeah.
So how do you translate that Phoenix app to something that in that organizational context means the inventory management application and you have to provide knowledge, orchestrate something to fix that issue.
Yeah.
So that's the core, that's the key piece. Without that contextual grounding, AI is not that successful.
We talked some about the orientation to business outcomes. It sounds like that's bottom line. That's what we're trying to solve for no matter what, right?
Absolutely.
How do we drive business outcomes? When I think of business outcomes specifically related to help desks and ticketing systems, I think of things like ticket deflection. I think of handling time. I think of time to resolution. Talk to me about some of the metrics that you guys are using to measure the impact for organizations and how they're recognizing these benefits.
Absolutely. Micah, if you ask me, we have just one North Star metric to go with. We call it the auto resolution rate.
Okay.
Meaning that if somebody were to ask a question to this, this virtual service desk, right? Is the AI able to solve for it or not? And solving means actual fulfillment. It's not just saying that, oh, you know what? I know that you have reported this. Let me create a ticket, which is what happens in today's ITSM systems.
Yeah.
It's all about creating tickets. And that ticket goes in a long queue of other tickets, sometimes in a black hole, right? But then somebody picks it up. Maybe an AI agent picks it up and tries to solve for it. But the key difference here is that I'm not measuring mean time to resolution, deflection. All I'm measuring is the AI able to solve for it or not. And solve for it in a way that this person doesn't have the need to pick up the phone or to create a ticket up after that. That's what we code. And we want all the people to use it. So we measure two things. One is adoption. The other one is the auto resolution rate. Those are the two metrics that we follow for every customer.
Auto resolution is like the gold standard here. This is not like horseshoes where if you get it close, you get some points. This is like you've got to get it.
You got to get it. You
Yeah.
got to get it right. If you're wrong, you get the feedback, you learn from it, but you try to get it right.
As we think about learning from it, talk to me about how that works. Because obviously when it's fresh deployment, someone's using it, they're having a conversation, and the agent says, I think I can solve part of this, but I can't solve the whole thing, right? So it's not an auto resolution at that point. It has to be escalated to someone. Talk to me about how that happens and then how that feedback loop comes back to reinform what the agent knows for the next time it's asked a similar question.
Yeah. So basically what happens is that if the AI agent gracefully responds to you saying that, hey, I don't have the answer to this question, what it should, right? Automatically escalated as a ticket or as a direct chat interaction. If an human agent is available, we create that proxy connection, right? So to the end user, it looks very seamless. To the end user, they were chatting with, perhaps they don't even know an AI system, but now they're chatting with somebody who is an actual human, right? Because the AI has made that handover pretty seamlessly. In some cases, it's the end user who says that, oh, you know what, you're not getting what I'm asking for, or that this is not complete information from me. I want to escalate. So we call it a live agent transfer. We can do that as well. That human-led escalation as well. But the core point is that if that human agent is able to solve it, it gets recorded in some form or the other. It either gets recorded in that chat transcript, or it gets recorded in the ticket that they marked as resolved. So what the AI agent is looking for is that, hey, I was not able to solve it. There was a chat transcript that I can learn from. So once that interaction is over, it will go into that chat transcript or the ticket and it will run its AI model and figure out did I miss some ontology entry? Did I miss specific piece of information that was not indexed into my system? And it does whatever is needed and learns from that. So the next time somebody asks a similar question, it has some guidance of where to find it.
Got it. So from a technology perspective, this exists on top of another help desk solution. Is that correct?
That's
like
right.
an ITSM tracking or?
That's right.
Okay.
All we need a solution for is there has to be a system of record where these transactions are being persisted. Think of us as a system of engagement plus a system of intelligence and a system of work. Then all we need is a database. So the way we treat a traditional ITSM system or an ESM system is in terms of ITIL, which is the standard ID library. We need a data model where all this is stored so that if they have to do an auditing, if they have to rerun what happened when somebody said that, they have a good way. Although you can do it on our platform as well, but this kind of helps us be compliant with the IT nomenclature and technology that exists today.
In working with and for some extremely large organizations, one thing that we always ran into was related to change management, right? You've got all these different teams within an organization, all trying to do their releases in this environment on this date, and inevitably something breaks, right? Someone pushes a bad release, someone's code wasn't appropriately tested. And at that point, we would have customers of ours, whatever service or platform we were running, who would say, hey, this thing's not working. They go to a chat experience like this. Is the Aisera solution able to pull in to say, hey, we see the following change requests were put in and help with some of that investigation to understand potential root cause of like, hey, this system's down or this system's not operating like it's supposed to be by checking status and things like that? Is all of that possible?
Absolutely. And what we are also telling our customers is that, hey, what exists as chatbot solutions in the market today is that even if 15 people ask the same question, that, hey, my VPN is not working, the AI is going to go and answer that question. Now, why is suddenly 15 people reporting that VPN solution is not working, right? If I'm a good help desk agent, I will dig a little deeper. Did something change?
Right.
Did we do some firmware upgrade on the router or something that is causing it? Now, that is exactly where we differentiate from other chatbot providers, if you will, which is that we will actually try to map it to any changes or root cause it to a particular configuration item in the CMDB because we have the entire context.
Yeah.
Right? And then when the 16% so the second or third person comes in and says that, hey, this is not working, you can say that, hey, this is already a known issue, right? We have root caused it to some change that happened, and somebody's working on it. It will be up and running. So that's the whole point. That don't just stop at answering the questions and taking the action. Make systems more resilient. Make the change management process be visible to everybody else in the organization.
Because then it's not just this ticket. It's, is there a more systematic problem happening where we need to escalate?
That's exactly right.
Now, thinking of it selfishly here, as you've been talking about this kind of stuff, I think every team has a certain sense of like, how do we deflect more of these basic questions that we're getting, right? Selfishly from the community team, we get all kinds of questions that are oftentimes the same kind of thing over and over again. Have you seen organizations who have said, hey, you know, this actually works really well. We're going to set up more help desks within our organization because this is a good way for us to provide interface to this team and to answer those commonly asked questions.
Absolutely.
And knowing when to escalate so that we know when to ask Kate the question instead of like just interfacing with the chatbot.
Yeah, and funny that you asked this because, yes, we started with IT, we started with HR, but what we are also realizing is that it falls under the broad umbrella of employee experience. Employees have questions. It's not just IT questions they're talking about, right? They have HR questions, but also they have in general questions depending on the particular domain that they're working. The idea is that how do you extend it to just going beyond service desk as well, to be that single hub where employees can get their questions answered and also take actions. So it's a combination of self-service, information retrieval, finding information, discovering new information, as well as a place where they can get like productivity enhancements, like, hey, help me write this email given this context, right? So we're thinking of that employee experience in that holistic manner. So think of the journey, hire to retire or day in the life. So we are mapping all of this into our applications and coming up with a much broader EX package, if you will.
So let's zoom out a little bit, go back to where we started. Aisera was acquired by Automation Anywhere. Let's talk about why that matters for our customers, joint customers now.
Yeah.
How do we work together strategically moving forward?
I do want to spend some time on this because it's really important to understand the thesis behind this transaction, if you will, right? The thesis behind this transaction has been that Automation Anywhere has traditionally been very strong in the mid-office and back-office orchestration. So there are specific processes, and you have a library of such processes that has been built over time. So you go to a financial services organization, an insurance ops organization, Automation Anywhere can automate the most important strategic mission-critical processes end-to-end. Now, bringing up the Aisera perspective, which is what we call front office automation, right? So front office automation are lightweight automations and lightweight information retrievals, and that also needs to tie in with this backend systems, because imagine a loan origination scenario. The loan can be originated by the loan originator after talking to this person, but imagine a world where you have a mobile app and this whole interaction is happening by a prospective customer, right? And the AI agent decides that this is a very good candidate for this particular personal loan and can go ahead and start that process without any human involvement or human on the loop, right? We generally don't need human in the loop, but somebody who can oversee at an aggregate what the AI agent is doing. So the point of view has always been to re-architect this enterprise process map to bring the front office, mid office, and back office automations together, thereby creating the autonomous enterprise. So this acquisition and the eventual integration of these two platforms will enable the promise of that autonomous enterprise by bringing the front office, mid office, and back office together.
As I'm thinking about our customers, some of them likely have some symptoms around help desks, right? What are these symptoms that they should be like, aha, Aisera is the answer?
So look at why customers come to Aisera. Most of these organizations have to run this ESAT service every quarter, every year, right? So ESAT is going down, and dig a little deeper. He said that, hey, once I joined the company, it takes me a long time to get really productive. I don't get the help. Even if I have a buddy system, I don't get the help I need. So that's where they can come to us and say that, hey, can you help with automating this, providing the right answers? Again, as I mentioned, employee onboarding ends being one of the most important use cases for us. So if the ESAT is going low, if you have a very high, what's called a traditional measure called the MTTR, which is mean time to resolution on the help desk side, if you are seeing ticket volumes go up a lot, right? And if you have other organizations joining your organization, if you're an acquisitive organization and you don't want to deal with the messiness of joining systems together, you want to provide that agentic layer on the top that talks to everything and makes it very simple for the end user to interact with without knowing the bits and bytes. That's where we come in.
That's fantastic. I was thinking back to one of my jobs many, many, many years ago. And the first week I was on that job, I had to reach out to IT every single day because nothing worked right.
To be clear, not here.
Not here.
Not
No,
here.
I think I was in my early 20s when this happened. And it was just such a rough first week. And you feel so embarrassed when you're constantly like, is this me? I just can't figure this out. Yeah. Having something like that would be a real enhancement.
Absolutely. Actually, funny you mentioned that because we mapped out interactions with IT and HR teams during a person's. So on an average, during the first onboarding phase, the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the number of IT tickets created by the individual is almost triple or 4 times of what they generally create over the rest of their time. So it's about 1.2 tickets created a month per employee based on our analysis. But during the first few weeks, it is basically 5 tickets created a week.
Well, so it makes me feel better that it was.
It's very natural that happened.
It's amazing you have that data, which I love, because that's a very cool data point. But also, that first couple weeks as an employee sets your perception of what things are going to be like here, right? So it's really, really important for employee experience and having people who you've invested all this time in to do interviews with, make an offer, do all this stuff, and get them in the door, and now you want to keep them.
Yes.
You want to have a really great experience as they get kicked off.
Is key.
Cool. Well, Rahul, thank you so much for joining us. If people are curious to learn more about Aisera, Automation Anywhere's acquisition, take a look at the show notes. We've got plenty for you to check out there. We've got some demos. We've got a webinar coming up soon. So can't wait to hear more about Aisera coming up soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.